Hey, it's Luke, the warehouse manager. Man, it is warm here, so I've been trying to not look really overheated, but it's not working. I also was just installing some stuff for another video, and I was talking to Jim, and I was like, okay, like we've had a lot of these new kind of cool things coming in that we can't talk about. Of course, like those fenders I can't be talking about that are over there. And I'm just like, okay, well, there's some cool things that have come in. I want to talk about them. What can I talk about? He's like, okay, well, you can talk about the Scramjet T47. So I was talking about uh, another scramjet that we have, and in another video, but I think this one's notable. Like I said, it is T47, and I'm going to read from this and then explore that with you. It is a highly adjustable T47. Great job, marketing team. Bottom bracket that fits 30 millimeter and 24 millimeter spindles and 68 to 100 millimeter wide bottom bracket shells. It fits frames that need outboard, inboard, and asymmetrical bottom brackets. That's noteworthy. That's worth talking about. Normally I'm like, we have some cool stuff coming out. Like, we're carrying that IRD dropper here. That's almost half of them are sold out. That's cool, but I don't really need to make a video about it. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's a mechanical dropper that's in all silver. That's at a nice price point. That's pretty straightforward. This is a bit more in depth. This is a bit more. Do you want to get kind of nerdy about bike stuff? And I can tell you, you can't. I could say whatever I want on camera, right? You're like, how can I trust you, Luke? Well, this is a supremely smooth running bearing. So I'll grab a diagram that Jim made for me. I felt like I was doing a school project when he had this made for me. He's like, "Are you going to use it?" I'm like, "Absolutely, I am going to use it." And so I get to point to it here. So what we have in there is we have all steel balls and one ceramic. Now, what's the point? Why wouldn't we have all ceramic? Well, they are more brittle, but they are harder. That makes sense, right? Softer, more malleable, more durable. Ceramic, harder, more brittle. But you're not going to have this break up on you in here because it's mixed with other steel ball bearings. So what this is showing is, in a way that it doesn't look like this as it's happening, but in theory and in actual application, this is what's happening. This harder ceramic ball is breaking down any grit that makes its way in. And there are seals. It's not like this is just open to the elements here. But the fact is in real life, grit gets into the bottom bracket. And especially you're looking at an outboard system. So even more than say a square taper where it's kind of tucked in there. It still gets grit in there, obviously. This needs something to kind of fend that off. And so with the ceramic ball, it makes its way around and it pulverizes that grit so that it isn't causing a roughness. It's not pitting these other balls. And I think that's the thing that's so cool about this. And I think it's, I've definitely had mechanical engineers get in the comments and tell me I'm full of it, and that's wrong. That's great. You're a mechanical engineer and I work in the bike industry. Let's stay in our respective lanes, okay? So it's a very special, and it's been around. Like this is definitely something that's been applied in other fields. It's been applied in the bicycle industry, but it's not been brought to production and mass produced the way that it's being done now with IRD. So if you want a longer lasting bottom bracket that does away with one of the big negatives of outboard bearings. I mean, they're outboard and they're bigger, so they spin and it's great, but you also have the elements on them. Even with improved seals, grit's going to get in there. But with that ceramic ball, it's going to pulverize the grit that does, meaning that the bearing is going to be longer lasting and it's not going to have pitted balls and it's not going to need replacing as often as a system that doesn't have a ceramic ball in there. So I think they're really cool. I mean, and again, I'm on camera, I can say whatever I want, the finish on these is really crazy. You know, there's another one it's a red sleeve, and as much as I like that for the example, if I were going to buy one, even though this is in the bottom of my bike and I'm not going to see it, this is what I want. It just looks amazing, and the finishing on this is just it's absurd, as is everything that's made by Tongiseki. You know, I did a video on them before, and not a great video, but a video that got across a lot of information. It wasn't as nice, I would say. You know, it was very made in the garage kind of quality, but that's kind of where I felt like I was. But, you know, Tonge, they don't accept anything other than the best, and they do white label production for a lot of people. I'm not going to talk about that too much, but I already wouldn't have picked them had it not been for the fact that Tongiseki does ball bearings. They do anything like this, headsets. That's just kind of the best. And I understand that domestically, you know, a lot of folks are very like Phil Wood, Chris King, White Industries, and they are wonderful. They are. They're very, very good, very exacting. I'd say this is as good or better than any of those makers. And that's not belittling what it is that Chris King does or White Industries or Phil Wood, so much as to say that's how good Tongiseki is. So anyway, I'd love to hear what you all have to say about it. I think it's a very versatile T47 bottom bracket. I also think it does away with one of the big negatives that comes with one of the big positives. Big ball bearings external to the shell, greater likelihood of grit getting in there. Well, what if we told you you didn't have to worry about it? I think that to me is it's a pretty damn good bottom bracket. So anyway, I look forward to hearing what you all have to say. Feel free to argue with me in the comments. I'm not going to engage. I'll just look at them and may delete them. Yep. So, all right. Take care. I'll see you soon in another video. The video I was shooting before this, God, it was annoying, but I think it's going to be a real good one. So stay tuned.